Well, who can't be fired up after that last talk, huh? So I've got a lot to live up to, so bear with me. And as you can tell, I'm from a bit north of here. I'm Scott Nichols from Franklin County in Maine. That's the western mountains of rural Maine. I am behind the lines. What I mean by that is I am deep behind the blue lines of the bluest state in New England, or one of the bluest states in New England. It's kind of it's a funny place to be. I'm here to tell you, and I'm sure a lot of you here can share those same sentiments. What I wanted to talk to you about this morning, more than anything else, is my evolution, how I actually became a sheriff, which I'm sure everyone here can probably relate to as a new sheriff. I started off in law enforcement 36 years ago. My first 23 years, I was a state trooper in Maine. And you know, as a young officer in the 80s and in the 90s, you didn't think about politics, you didn't think about policy or any of that stuff. You're all about going out there and getting the OUI, stopping the domestic violence, getting that drug dealer, you know, just doing your job, not really thinking about it, just going out there and doing their job. But also back then, you didn't really feel this wave of assault coming against your personal freedoms. You know, you just didn't think about it because it wasn't happening. At least in Maine, it wasn't happening. However, around 2010, you know, it started, you could almost feel this cloud starting to descend, right? I spent 23 years in the state police, then I left there, I became a police chief for 5 years, and I ran for sheriff in 2012 and got elected. I've been there ever since. You know, back in the day, as I said earlier, this cloud started to descend upon us right around 2008 to 2012, and what hit Maine was this anti-Second Amendment thing. Then this little fellow by the name of Mike Bloomberg decided to show up around 2016, and he had a bucket load of cash. Millions of dollars he poured into Maine, of all places, to bring about what we call the Referendum 3 and the No on 3 campaign that we had. It was all about enhanced background investigations, which in short was nothing but gun control, and that's all it was. This was really picking up some momentum at that time when this first hit in 2016. And at that point, you know, as sheriff, you know, I spent the first term basically reorganizing the sheriff's office, getting the jail back squared away, and then, of course, this thing hits in 2016. I'm running for election at that point. Fortunately, nobody's running against me. And so I'm thinking, what do we do? This is awful. And it was gaining a momentum to the point where we thought for sure that this out-of-state group was going to win. And so I reached out. We have 16 sheriffs, 16 counties in Maine. I reached out to all of them. I got 11 others to join me. And together as a group, with the help of the NRA, we actually put together a commercial on TV that actually had all of us speaking out against this referendum. And I really believe it was at that point that the pendulum started to turn. And come election time that November in 2016, we actually beat that thing. And it was the voices of all the sheriffs combined, at least 12 of us combined, that actually helped defeat that out-of-state effort. And I thought, wow, there's something else. Yeah, and so, yeah, that was great. So then 2018 comes around. Maine turns completely blue. The legislature, the Senate, and the governor's office, everything turns blue at that point. And then there was a plethora of anti-gun bills coming through once again. And once again, a few of our sheriffs got together along with the community members. At this point, a group started called Gun Owners of Maine, got together, and we all went down to the legislature, fought against these measures. And once again, we thought we'd be lucky if we could, you know, defeat half of them. We wound up defeating all of them, which was, again, amazing that the legislature were able to stop this thing. And I point this out because at this point, that was my eureka moment, you know? Boy, there is a difference between the sheriff and the law enforcement out there. I remember as a trooper, I retired as a sergeant in the homicide unit, And I remember as a police chief, we would never be allowed to get political because you always had to run it up the flagpole, get permission from the government body that oversaw your position, and most of the time they'd squash it and say, no, you can't. But as sheriff, at that point I realized we have a voice. We can actually do something. We can actually go out there and help defend people against this evil that's descending upon our country, especially in our area up there. Well, here comes 2020. And it's election time again for me. My third term is running for office. And like every state in the union, COVID-19 hit. And everything basically gets shut down. And like every other state out there, our governor decides you can't drive. You can't have your businesses open. Everything got shut down. You weren't allowed to travel. And these are all these measures that came out around that period of time. And people started freaking out. I remember around April 1st, the governor came out with all these edicts. She shut the legislature down and then started creating all these laws from Augusta. Well, I don't know about you, but I remember growing up that in order for a law to be enacted, it has to go to the legislature, get debated, passed on to the Senate, get debated, passed on to the governor's office where they'd either veto it or they'd approve it, and then it would become a law. These weren't laws. These are edicts, basically coming down from on high. And they were infringing upon people's personal rights. I had people calling me up and saying, hey, just to let you know, Sheriff, I've got a letter that says I'm an essential employee and I can drive here and there. I received several of these phone calls, and I'm thinking, where is this coming from? And then, of course, the governor came out with what she had to say there. And at that point, after about my fifth or sixth phone call in one night, I decided to put out a statement to the people of Franklin County, and I just said, look, this is not Nazi Germany. This is not Soviet Russia. We're not going to be stopping you and asking for your papers if you're allowed to be out or not, all right? And I tell people because in just that one paragraph, I put it all on our Facebook page, but that first paragraph sort of settled the minds of a lot of people and really put people at ease, especially my deputies who didn't know how to really react to this thing, because the governor basically came out and said, if you violate this, you can be arrested. And I told people I wasn't arresting anybody. The most I was going to do was educate people, and that's it. We're not the mask police. Don't call us up if you want us to come and remove somebody because they're wearing a mask. It's not going to happen. And wow. And so that's what we did. Since then, I've been attacked from the left and the right for in all corners of public opinion. And it's not what I was looking for, and wasn't my intent to go against the state edicts being passed. I simply wanted to make the people I serve feel safe, And how many here have been experiencing this? These phone calls you get, people calling you up saying, hey, well, I don't want to use my name, but they're having a party over here, and they're all, they're not social distancing, and they're not wearing masks, and, all I could think of was that, Quakers meeting had begun, no more fighting, no more fun, or whatever it is that saying is. These people are crazy. It's absolutely insane. And they always want to remain anonymous. They don't want to use their names, right? And so as sheriff, I've just taken a stand that I will not treat a situation like a crime that wasn't a crime 6 months ago, and probably won't be a crime 6 months from now. I'm not going to do it. I will not restrict an individual's civil liberties. I have faith in the people and treat people as adults. They all know what's best for themselves. We all know what's been going on. I mean, we all have seen what the government is putting out there, and even the government can't be trusted in what's going on out there. They tell you one thing 1 month and tell you another thing the next month. So it's like, who's right here? So where does this leave us today? By taking a stance like this to protect the civil rights of our citizens, we are putting ourselves in conflict with state government. I don't know about you, but I've been threatened to be removed from office. Not by this current governor, but by the previous one who was a Republican. You know, go figure. It's all a question we all have to weigh, because if we allow the state or federal government to continue down the path of absolutism and do not stand up and speak out on behalf of our citizens, and who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? This evolution I talk about is how I come to realize the importance of the county sheriff and how important we are to the people out there today, and how important it is for us to reach out to our other sheriffs within our state. I mean, I've had to literally pry some of my guys. I know they're of the same mindset I am, but by cracky, to make them go out there and take a public stance, it's like, ooh, but I got an election coming up. I'm being opposed this time around, and guess who's supporting them? Some of the governor's family, right? Tells you a lot, doesn't it? Must be doing something right. At least I think so. So I'll leave you with this, and this seems to be more true than anything else. Ephesians 6:12, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world. And boy, is that not more true today than it's ever been before. So I ask all of you to keep the faith, stand strong, be firm. You know, stand up for what you believe. And if you don't get reelected, there's a reason for it. God's on our side, all right? Amen. I mean, yeah, exactly. But I mean, I wouldn't be here but for him, because believe me, 8 years ago when I ran for this thing, I didn't really think I stood a chance to remove an incumbent sheriff. He has put us all in this position for a reason. And there's a reason why you're all here today. And you're all here today to go and also influence your fellow sheriffs out there too, to take a stand. If we can remain strong, we can move mountains. So thank you very much.